presented by Exquisite Timepieces. More about them in the description down below and later in the video. I really like the Oris Big Crown lineup of watches. They make for a fantastic everyday watch that is capable of straddling the line between somewhat sporty and a bit more dressy. Now, that's not to say that this is a dress watch, but it can dress up nicely with the right leather strap. I also like the wide selection of available options within the product range. There are multiple size choices between 36 and 40 millimeters. There are numerous dial variations, including different colors and complications, like small second subdials and pointer date complications. And there are some options when it comes to materials, including stainless steel and what we have here today. This is the Oris Big Crown Bronze Pointer Date. It's the green dial variant set in a 40 millimeter diameter case with a bronze multi-piece metal bracelet and clasp. Now, whether or not you're a fan of bronze watches, notwithstanding, and to be fair, bronze is not my first choice when it comes to materials. This is actually a stellar watch for the money. Coming in at a retail price of $2,600, you get a 40 millimeter diameter timepiece with an overall thickness of 13 millimeters. It has a lug-to-lug length of 48.5 millimeters and a lug width of 20 millimeters. The bronze case is appointed with a finely fluted bezel, and the fit and finish on both the case and the bezel is superb. The matching bronze bracelet and clasp are equally well done, and while the clasp doesn't have a toolless micro adjustment system, it does have plenty of adjustment points, but you do need a tool to modify the fit from one position to the next. Set atop the watch case, protecting the watch face, is a double-domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating applied to the inner side. The watch also does have a display case back, though only mineral glass, but it does show off the Oris 754 movement, which is based on the caliber SW200-1. This movement is an automatic self-winding movement running at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it offers a 38-hour power reserve. Now, Oris does produce its own in-house movement in the form of the caliber 400. On one hand, it is a bit disappointing that the in-house movement hasn't made its way to this model. On the other hand, it would certainly increase the cost of the watch, and I personally have no issues with the Sellita SW200 or the ETA 2824, which it's based on. So in that regard, I'm okay with this choice. The watch does only have 50 meters of water resistance, but considering it isn't a diver or a professional sports watch, I'm also totally fine with 50 meters of water resistance. The crown does screw down, and the crown action is absolutely as smooth as it could be. Now, this model does have two hallmark features, aside from the bronze case and bracelet. First is the big crown, and second, the pointer date complication. Briefly, let's talk about that big crown. The case being absent of any crown guards makes the crown completely accessible, and the larger, oversized nature of the crown makes manipulating it to unscrew, hand-wind the movement, and to set the time and date extremely easy. And I have to say that considering the price of this timepiece, it's one of the better crown systems that I've come across, even when I compare it to some much more expensive watches. Then we have the dial and the pointer date complication. And I do have a little gripe with the watch when it comes to the pointer date. It is super functional, and it's a nice change of pace from the traditional date window at the 3 or 6 o'clock position of the dial. I do really like the idea of this complication. The problem is, I just can't read it. Now, this is a me problem. It's not a problem with the watch. My eyesight is on the decline, and the numbers on the extremity of the dial that the pointer date indicate are just a bit too small for me to read at arm's length. And again, like I said, this is a me problem. It's not an issue with the watch. But hey, it's something that I have an issue with, and if you're over the age of 40, you might have an issue with it too. As for the rest of the dial and the handset, I think it looks excellent. Green dials aren't personally my favorite. I think I'd prefer this a bit more in a blue or a black coloration, and that all boils down to personal preference, but the design is quite nice. The chapter ring is in a train track style with graduations for each minute. The printed hour markers are large and they're legible, and they're filled with Superluminova C1 C3 glow-in-the-dark luminescent paint. And overall, I think that the dial layout and the design has something of an aviation or maybe even a military field watch vibe, at least to me. And of course, being a fan of those types of watches, I am obviously a fan of this one too. But my favorite thing about this one isn't the dial itself or the pointer date complication. It's actually the handset. There's something about cathedral-style hands on a watch that I really dig. The hour hand is in an almost spade-type pointer, just a bit elongated, and the minutes hand is in a syringe style with a horizontal cut in the middle. I don't know what it is, but I really do love this design. And yeah, of course, I know this isn't the only watch that uses cathedral hands, but I think it's a really good choice for this one, and I wish more watches had them. Now, the pointer date hand is in a bronze tone, much like the other hands, but it does have a red tip for the pointer, which is a nice touch, and it adds a bit of contrast, which does make for picking up the date a little bit easier. Albeit with such small date numbers, like I said, I do personally struggle to read it. Now, I did mention earlier that bronze isn't my first choice for a material in watches that I personally purchase. It looks nice when it's new, but bronze does patina fairly quickly, and I don't like the look of it as much when it ages. That said, as far as bronze watches go, the Oris Big Crown Pointer Date might be one of my first choices if I were in the market to pick up and add a bronze watch to my collection. This video is presented in partnership with Exquisite Timepieces, located in Naples, Florida. Exquisite is an authorized dealer of dozens of watch brands, including Seiko and Grand Seiko, Omega, Oris, Blancpain, Breguet, and many more. Exquisite also has an amazing selection of pre-owned watches with new inventory coming in daily. So if you're looking for your next watch, check their website, exquisitetimepieces.com, or call their store at 239-227-2932, and let them know that you heard about them from Guy and the Just Blue Fish channel. I can't recommend them enough.